الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم أما بعد. الإمام النووي رحمه الله تعالى يقول في كتاب أدب الطعام, the book about the etiquette of eating. And السؤال, before we get to the actual hadith itself, the question is, if you were in the presence of someone who was not eating the way he's supposed to eat, meaning you're sitting in a gathering, someone is grabbing the cup with the left hand and he or she basically is drinking with the left hand. What should you do? Should you just be quiet, because it's none of your business? Or should you talk to them, tell them, by the way, kul bi yaminik, ishrab bi yaminik, why don't you drink with your right hand? Should you talk to them?
Yes.
So what if that person was the host?
Just whisper in his ear.
He is the host. Should you embarrass him? Or should you say, no, he's the host, so be polite in his presence, so therefore just keep quiet? What if the person was older than you? An elder who is eating or drinking, and he or she basically they're older than you. Should you also instruct them and let them know what they need to do? What if that person who's older than you is your parent, your father or your mother? Should you remind them and tell them that, you should eat with the left hand, you with the right hand, right? Yeah, especially that, right? What would he say to you? Just mind your own business, right? Allah musta'an. So regardless who the person is, the sunnah is that you teach the people the way they should eat. Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala يقول باب الأكل مما يليه ووعظه وتأديبه من يسيء أكله. Chapter, eating from what is in front of you, and then advising, he says, وَتَأْدِيبِهِ, so advising and educating the person who is not eating well, not eating properly, basically. قال عن عمر ابن أبي سلمة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال كنت غلاما في حجر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Umar ibn Abi Salama was the stepson of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم from his wife Salama رضي الله عنها. He said, I was a boy under the care and protection of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. قال وكانت يدي تطيش في الصحفة. As a boy, he said, my hand used to go all over the plate. You know how kids eat? When they eat, they just look for the fancy things that on the plate. They don't care, so they put their hand in almost everything. قال فكانت يدي تطيش في الصحفة. I mean, this is a kid. What are you going to tell a kid? However, the Prophet ﷺ, still with a child, he will treat that child like he would treat someone who can reason with. So he said, فقال لي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا غلام سم الله تعالى وكل بيمينك وكل مما يليك. He said, my dear son, يا غلام سم الله, mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means say Bismillah. وكل بيمينك, and eat with your right hand. وكل مما يليك, and eat from what is in front of you. So this is now an older man. I mean, a younger boy basically. The Prophet ﷺ did not say, he's a kid, just leave him. He will grow up and learn. No. He taught him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the etiquette of eating. Also another hadith Salam ibn al-Akwa radiyallahu anhu. أن رجلا أكل عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بشماله. Salam ibn al-Akwa narrates that a man or a person ate with his left hand in the presence of Allah's Messenger. So can you imagine Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is there and this guy is just eating with his left hand. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم addressed the man, he قال كل بيمينك. He didn't say anything wrong, right? He was in a very polite manner. قال كل بيمينك. It's like saying, why don't you eat with your right hand? جزاك الله خير. قال رجل لا أستطيع. I cannot. The narrator of the hadith, he says, قال ما منعه إلا الكبر. He said that out of arrogance. He just basically he didn't like this coming from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahu a'lam, was he a hypocrite, a munafiq, a jahil, ignorant person? Only Allah knows. But eventually he says, ما لا أستطيع, I cannot, which means just leave me alone. That's what it means exactly. قال ما منعه إلا الكبر. صلى الله عليه. فقال الراوي فما رفعها إلى فيه. رواه Muslim. He said, after that, this person could not raise his right hand up to his mouth afterwards, which means was paralyzed. Because in رواية النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لما قال لا أستطيع, he said, I cannot. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم responded saying, قال لا استطعت, which means may you never. be able to? If so, you're saying it arrogantly, then may you never be able to raise your hand to your mouth. And he was never seen raising his right hand or able to raise his right hand, meaning he was paralyzed by the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in these two incidents, we see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam instructing a young boy, and he also instructed an adult. So if you ever see in any gathering someone who's eating or drinking with the left hand, instruct them by saying, "Why don't you eat with the right hand?" Do it in the most pleasant and polite manner. Don't say, "Hey you." Don't call people like that. Instead saying, I really prefer that if you drink with the right hand, that's better for you. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair, but just be careful. I saw you drinking with your left hand. Maybe the person had no idea that it's wrong, because I've seen people like that, really. In all my classes, whenever I travel, as people, they come to ask questions, they will be standing there, grabbing their cup of tea or cup of water in their left hand, they drink and they're asking me questions. So I just tell the person, said, "By the way, why don't you drink with your right hand?" And he would just for him, it didn't click, as if, what's wrong with that? So I realized when the person doesn't show any kind of reaction, that means he has no idea that it's wrong. So I explained that to them. But if the person says, "Oh, I didn't pay attention," that means they know it's wrong, but just kind of forgot about it. So I try as much as possible whenever I see people to instruct them, inshallah ta'ala, and educate them, again, in the best manner, inshallah ta'ala, and astaghfirullah. Wallahu ta'ala. Any question?
How about non-Muslims?
Non-Muslim? Non-Muslim should be asked them to eat tabiha first. Non-Muslim is different. But if you would like to share like a kind of, what should we call that? It's just like something to marvel about, Tell them, by the way, in our tradition, we only eat with the right hand, we should not be eating with the left hand. Start a conversation if you want to, but not mandatory. Allah. نعم.
Is it a sunnah when you drink to sit down as well?
نعم. هل من السنة الإنسان يجلس إذا شرب? Is it the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that you sit down when you drink? Actually, yes, it is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. حتى عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها, she reported that the Prophet ﷺ was never seen basically drinking while standing. However, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala, in response to that, one day he did that deliberately. He did that basically to show the people that it's not haram to drink standing, even though it's most preferable to drink while sitting down. He made wudu radiallahu ta'ala. When he finished, the leftover in the cup, he stood up and he drank water while he was standing. Then he said, قال أما إني ما فعلت. I didn't do that because I need to stand up for it. Because I heard some people saying that it's not permissible to drink while standing. He said, no, it's permissible, and he gave his evidence. His evidence was Hadith al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he was في حجة الوداع, during the Hajj, and it was Arafah day. So the people were wondering if the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was fasting or not. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam فَدَعَ بِقَدَحٍ مِّن لَبَنٍ. So they brought him milk, and he stood sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was actually sitting on the back of the camel. So he stood up sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he was drinking while everybody was watching. So the reason he did that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those who argue that it's not an evidence for Ali, they said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did that for a reason, to show the public, right? He wants to show the Hujjaj as far as they could see him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But still, he did sallallahu alaihi wasallam something. When he was drinking, he was standing on his feet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's not haram, but it's definitely preferable for the person to sit down while drinking. That also applies to eating, by the way. I know this culture over here, people, they eat and drink while they're walking, not even just standing there. But it's not the etiquette or the adab of eating. Wallahu ta'ala.
Do we know the reason for that, for sitting down?
جاء بعض الأحاديث لكن ضعيفة حقيقة. Some of the ahadith the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, the hadith says that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, لو يعلم الذي يشرب قائما ما في بطنه لاستقاه. If the person who drinks while standing knows what he's throwing into his stomach, he would just throw up. Meaning that's very awful. The hadith is not that authentic, wallahu alam, but it's still, it's a kind of deterrence. So if you ever get a chance to sit down while drinking, do it. If you're kind of in a hurry or maybe in different circumstances, you're going to have to drink while standing, that's fine. Water fountain, for example, you're not going to sit down while drinking from water fountain. So eventually you're going to have to use the circumstances that you have. Wallahu alam. No.
I've seen some people who eat by hand. They kind of, when they want to drink, they will just pick up the glass with the left hand and put the right.
No.
that something?
So if someone eats with his right hand, and then in this case they will smear their hand with all the kind of food that they're eating, mashallah. Now they want to drink. What are they going to do? So some people, they grab the cup in their left hand, and then they kind of support it with the right hand, as if they're saying, I'm just drinking with my right hand. Now, I'm not sure, honestly, that this counts as drinking the right hand. It doesn't sound like that, doesn't look like that. So I would not approve it. I personally would not approve it. So what do you do in this case? You just lick your fingers. And if you have a mandil, and then just clean your fingers, and then eventually you can drink with your right hand, inshallah. Wallah. Same thing if you grab a sandwich and soda. Switch, right? Keep switching. Don't say right, left. No, keep switching. No. Look.
Is there any evidence in the Prophet where he would drink after he finished eating, and then he would drink? Because I know, in kind of subcontinent culture, we kind of have this thing where we eat our food and then you drink your water.
No. Is there any report from the Prophet ﷺ making the last thing he eats or the last thing of his food to be drink? I'm not sure about that in particular. We know the Prophet ﷺ, he said that if someone wants to fill his stomach, he should divide into three thirds. One for the food, one for the drink, and one for the air to breathe. So does that count as the order in which you should eat and drink? Or this is just to give the generic, basically, division of the stomach? I don't see this to be the order. Wallah. So if someone needs to drink while they're eating, that should be fine, inshallah. Unless doctors say that's not healthy. If it's a medical issue, then I should avoid that. But if it's just a matter of, if it was a sunnah, I'm not sure about that. Wallahu ta'ala.
There was a story there was an elderly gentleman and he was making wudu incorrectly, and so Hassan and Hussein were trying to correct him. And so they kind of, did it with some hikmah and said, well, which one of us is doing it right, or something like that. So should we kind of use the same kind of thing, say you see an elderly guy who you respect and he's much older than you, he's eating with his left hand. You can't just say, hey.
You're not going to say, hey, eat with the right hand.
You could say, yo.
But you could just talk to.
Or is it preferable to maybe get someone who that's the same age to talk to him instead?
Yeah, you could just eventually mention that at the beginning. Tell everybody, Jama'ah Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says so and so. Sometimes in that same gathering, the way you see that elderly basically is eating with his left hand, you might see someone who's younger that you can kind of talk directly to.